Emperor Antares made a crucial mistake the moment he challenged Earth. The Elysian Empire's supreme ruler drastically underestimated human ingenuity, tenacity, and sheer determination to survive at any cost. When the Elysian scout ship arrived in Earth's orbit and brazenly broadcast their ultimatum, it sent shockwaves through the planet. The Elysians flexed their superior technology, showcasing faster-than-light travel and world-ending weapons. They demanded humanity's immediate surrender, promising a gilded cage under their benevolent rule. Astrophysicist Tyler Gordon intercepted the message at NASA's Deep Space Network. He decoded the Elysian challenge and sounded the alarm. World leaders convened an emergency summit, centuries of strife forgotten in the face of this existential threat. Bitter enemies now stood shoulder to shoulder, determined to resist subjugation. Gordon's analysis painted a grim picture. The Elysians outclassed Earth in every way, wielding technology centuries beyond humanity's grasp. Brute force was a swift path to extinction. Survival demanded guile, grit, and unconventional thinking. While diplomats stalled for time and spies infiltrated the enemy ship, Earth's greatest minds worked to unravel Elysian secrets. They had 30 fleeting days to unlock the key to salvation before the invaders' patience ran out. The Elysians watched from orbit, assured of their triumph, never suspecting that the primitive humans would dare defy galactic conquest. They were about to learn that challenging Earth carried a steep price. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and the Elysian Empire would soon rue the day they underestimated mankind. As the Global Defense Initiative rallied Earth's forces, Dr. Tyler Gordon buried himself in the Elysian data, scouring for any advantage against the alien juggernaut. His team worked in feverish silence, the weight of humanity's fate bearing down on them. They pored over complex schematics and equations, racing against an unforgiving clock. Days blurred together in an endless cycle of caffeine and calculations, until Gordon's bleary eyes locked onto a peculiar energy pattern. He double-checked the readings, hardly daring to hope. There, hidden within the Elysian propulsion designs, lay the key to humanity's salvation: artificial gravity control. Gordon's team descended on the discovery like starving wolves. They tore apart the Elysian blueprints, working to adapt the alien technology to human understanding. Slowly, the veil lifted, revealing secrets that would propel mankind centuries ahead. While the scientists toiled, Captain Jake Reeves prepared for the most critical mission of his life. He handpicked a team of elite operatives, each a master of infiltration and combat. They trained relentlessly, honing their skills and teamwork to a razor's edge. As the prototype stealth shuttle neared completion, Reeves and his team memorized every scrap of intel on the Elysian ship. They drilled on mock-ups until they could navigate the alien craft blindfolded. Every second counted. Failure was not an option. The shuttle launched under cover of darkness, slipping through Earth's atmosphere like a ghost. Reeves gritted his teeth as they approached the looming Elysian vessel, its hull overflowing with menacing weapons. The shuttle docked with barely a whisper, and the humans melted into the shadows of the alien ship. Reeves led his team deeper into the bowels of the vessel, their hearts pounding in the oppressive silence. They split up, each group focused on their assigned targets. Reeves headed for the central computer core, his mind racing with the immensity of his task. The core pulsed with eerie light as Reeves hacked into the Elysian databases. His fingers flew over the alien interface, bypassing firewalls and decryption algorithms with deft precision. The secrets of the Elysian Empire unspooled before him, painting a grim picture of a civilization built on conquest and subjugation. Suddenly, alarms blared through the ship. Reeves cursed under his breath as he downloaded the last critical files. Gunfire erupted in the distance, the unmistakable sound of his team engaging the enemy. He sprinted towards the chaos, adrenaline surging through his veins. The human operatives fought with desperate ferocity, wielding Elysian weapons scavenged from fallen foes. They outmaneuvered the alien security forces with fluid precision, exploiting the ship's tight confines. Reeves joined the fray, his rifle spitting plasma bolts with deadly accuracy. As the last Elysian guard crumpled to the deck, Reeves rallied his team. They raced back to the waiting shuttle, dodging energy beams that seared the air around them. The shuttle leaped free of the alien ship, engines screaming as it plunged back towards Earth. In the Elysian bridge, Commander Azara watched the human craft flee, a mix of anger and grudging respect etched on her angular features. She turned to Admiral Zoltar, who seethed with impossibly strong fury. Azara chose her next words with care, knowing the Admiral's wrath was a force to be reckoned with. "Admiral, I believe we may have underestimated the humans. They are proving far more capable than our initial assessments indicated." Zoltar rounded on her, his eyes blazing. "Incompetence! I want every inch of this ship searched. Find any remaining human infiltrators and eliminate them without mercy. Emperor Antares will have someone's head for this failure." Azara nodded crisply, but doubt gnawed at her mind. The Elysian Empire's arrogance had blinded them to the strength and purpose of their adversary. She couldn't shake the feeling that the true battle for Earth had only just begun. The shuttle carrying Captain Reeves and his team streaked through Earth's atmosphere, leaving a fiery trail in its wake. As they approached the landing zone, the sky above them erupted in a dazzling display of light and destruction. The Elysian ship had opened fire. Reeves gripped his seat as the shuttle rocked violently, buffeted by the shockwaves of distant explosions. Through the viewport, he watched in horror as beams of searing energy lanced down from orbit, carving swathes of devastation across the planet's surface. "This is it," he muttered, his face hardened. "They've made their move." The shuttle touched down with a bone-jarring thud. Reeves and his team sprinted across the tarmac towards the Global Defense Initiative's underground command center. They passed frantic ground crews prepping Earth's fledgling space fleet for launch. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, Dr. Tyler Gordon hunched over a holographic display, his eyes darting between streams of data. The stolen Elysian files held the key to humanity's survival. If only they could decipher them in time. "Doctor!" An aide burst into the lab, breathless. "The Elysians have begun their attack. Admiral Kane is scrambling our fleet." Gordon nodded grimly. "Tell the Admiral we're close to a breakthrough. We need more time." Above the planet, humanity's hastily assembled armada engaged the Elysian warship. Terran vessels, retrofitted with crude gravity manipulators, danced between salvos of alien weaponry. What they lacked in raw power, they made up for in audacity and unconventional tactics. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of the flagship, his weathered face illuminated by the flashes of battle. "Status report." "Sir, our gravity weapons are having an effect, but their shields are still holding. We can't keep this up forever." Kane's comlink crackled to life. It was Gordon. "Admiral, we found something. A weakness in their shield harmonics. If we can concentrate our fire on these coordinates, we might be able to punch through." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. It was a long shot, but they were out of options. "All ships, this is Kane. Converge on the transmitted coordinates and fire everything we've got." The Terran fleet moved as one, unleashing a furious barrage at a single point on the Elysian ship's hull. For agonizing seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a soundless flash, a section of the alien vessel's shields collapsed. Cheers erupted across the Terran comms as their weapons found purchase, tearing into the Elysian ship's armored hide. Explosions blossomed along its length as it began to list, losing altitude. "Now's our chance," Kane growled. "Prep a boarding party. We're taking that ship." In the shadowed corridors of the stricken Elysian vessel, Captain Reeves led his team through pockets of fierce resistance. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid smell of burning circuitry. Plasma bolts sizzled past, leaving scorch marks on alien alloys. As they fought their way towards the bridge, Reeves caught a glimpse of movement in his peripheral vision. He spun, weapon raised, only to find himself face to face with an Elysian officer. Her angular features were set in a look of unshakable focus, but she held her hands up in a gesture of surrender. "I am Commander Azara," she said, her voice carrying a hint of an alien accent. "And I believe we have much to discuss, Captain Reeves." Reeves hesitated, his finger hovering over the trigger. In that moment, he realized the course of the war, and perhaps the fate of two civilizations, hung in the balance. Captain Reeves lowered his weapon, his eyes locked on Commander Azara's. "Talk fast," he growled. Azara's words tumbled out in a rush. The Elysian Empire is rotten to its core. Many of us have long opposed Emperor Antares' tyranny. Your attack has given us the opportunity we've been waiting for. Admiral Kane's voice crackled over Reeves's comlink. Captain, we've secured the ship. What's your status? Sir, we have a high-ranking Elysian defector. Request immediate conference with GDI leadership. Hours later, in the depths of the underground command center, humanity's leaders gathered around a holographic display of Elysian space. Commander Azara stood before them, her tall frame rigid with tension. The Empire controls thousands of worlds, she explained, manipulating the hologram. But many are restless under Antares' rule. If we strike swiftly, we can turn them to our cause. Dr. Gordon leaned forward, his eyes gleaming. I may have a solution. We've been developing an AI virus, codenamed Exodus. With Azara's inside knowledge, we could cripple Elysian defenses across multiple systems simultaneously. Admiral Kane nodded grimly. It's a start, but we'll need more than that to take on the entire Elysian war machine. Then let's take their war machine, Reeves interjected. He pointed to a pulsing red dot on the map. Azara tells me there's a prototype shipyard here. If we can capture those vessels, we'll have a real shot at this fight. The plan came together with feverish intensity. Within days, stealth drones loaded with Exodus streaked across Elysian space. On dozens of worlds, automated defenses faltered, and communication networks dissolved into chaos. Reeves crouched in the shadows of the massive Elysian shipyard, Azara at his side. Around them, rebel forces moved with silent precision. The virus had done its work. Security systems were down, and the skeleton crew was oblivious to their presence. There, Azara whispered, pointing to a sleek, predatory craft unlike anything Reeves had ever seen. That's our target. They surged forward, overwhelming the unprepared Elysian guards. Reeves sprinted up the boarding ramp, marveling at the ship's alien contours. As they lifted off, joined by a small fleet of other captured prototypes, Azara allowed herself a small smile. Now, she said, we have teeth. Back on Earth, Dr. Gordon paced his lab, surrounded by holographic schematics of Elysian technology. He turned to Admiral Kane, his face haggard but triumphant. We've cracked their manufacturing processes, he announced. With the right modifications, we can turn their own production facilities against them. Imagine it, entire worlds churning out weapons and ships for our cause, right under the Elysians' noses. Kane's eyes narrowed. It's a hell of a risk, Doctor. If we're caught... If we don't try, we're dead anyway, Gordon countered. The Admiral nodded slowly. Do it. Across Elysian space, the rebellion spread like wildfire. Oppressed populations rose up, bolstered by the influx of human-designed weaponry pouring from subverted factories. The Elysian war machine, once thought invincible, began to crack under the strain. On the Elysian throne world, Emperor Antares raged at his cowering advisors. Crushes them, he roared, spittle flying from his lips. I want every ship, every soldier mobilized. We will teach these human vermin the price of defiance. But as his fleets gathered for the final assault on Earth, chaos erupted in their midst. Sabotage ships turned their weapons on their companions. Waves of autonomous drones swarmed from secret hangars. The invasion force tore itself apart before it could even launch. Antares stumbled back from the command center's main view screen, his face ashen. Impossible, he whispered. An aide approached, trembling. Your Imperial Majesty, we've lost contact with the outlying systems. The rebellion, it's everywhere. The Emperor's eyes blazed with madness. He strode to a raised dais and placed his hand on a pulsing orb. Then they will all burn, he snarled. Deep beneath the planet's surface, a contained singularity stirred to life. Life. Alarms blared as the containment field fluctuated, struggling to hold back the growing singularity. Captain Reeves sprinted through the twisting corridors of the Elysian palace, plasma bolts sizzling past his head. Commander Azara kept pace beside him, her face a mask of stubborn persistence. Behind them, Dr. Gordon barked orders into his comlink, coordinating the desperate assault on Antares' inner sanctum. The palace shook violently, nearly throwing them off their feet. Reeves steadied himself against a wall, feeling the vibrations intensify beneath his palm. "We're running out of time," Azara hissed, her eyes darting to a nearby view screen. It showed a swirling vortex of energy consuming the city below, buildings crumbling like sandcastles before an unstoppable tide. They rounded a corner and found themselves face to face with a squad of Elysian guards. Reeves didn't hesitate, his rifle spitting blue fire before the enemy could react. Azara moved with liquid grace, her own weapon dropping 2 more guards in quick succession. As the last guard fell, Dr. Gordon caught up to them, breathing heavily. "The containment chamber is just ahead," he gasped, gesturing down a darkened corridor. "But Antares—" A maniacal laugh echoed through the hall, cutting Gordon off. The Mad Emperor's voice boomed from hidden speakers, dripping with contempt. "Come, vermin, witness the death of your pitiful rebellion." Reeves exchanged a quick glance with his companions, then nodded. They surged forward, weapons at the ready. The containment chamber doors loomed before them, twisted and buckled from the strain of holding back the Singularity's awesome power. With a grunt of effort, Reeves and Azara forced them open. Emperor Antares stood atop a raised platform, silhouetted against the pulsing orb of barely contained energy. His eyes blazed with insanity as he held aloft a glowing device. "You're too late," he shrieked. "I hold the override in my hands. One press and your precious galaxy becomes nothing but cosmic dust." Reeves opened fire without hesitation, but Antares was quicker. He slammed his hand down on the device just as plasma bolts tore into his chest. The Emperor's body crumpled, a grotesque smile still plastered on his face. "No!" Gordon shouted, lunging for the controls. His fingers flew over alien interfaces, face contorted in concentration. "It's no use. The reaction is beyond stopping now." Azara's normally stoic features twisted in anguish. "Then it's over. We've failed." Gordon's eyes darted between readouts, his mind racing. Suddenly he straightened, a look of grim purpose settling over him. "There might be a way," he said quietly. "If we overload the main reactor, the electromagnetic pulse could disrupt the Singularity's growth. It's a long shot, but—" "It's suicide," Reeves finished, understanding dawning. Gordon nodded. "Someone has to stay behind to initiate the sequence manually. The rest of you need to get to the ships and jump to safety." Azara stepped forward, her voice thick with emotion. "I'll do it. This is my people's mistake to correct." "No," Gordon said firmly. "You're needed to help rebuild. This is my field of expertise. It has to be me." Reeves opened his mouth to argue, but the look in Gordon's eyes stopped him cold. This was a decision already made. "It's been an honor," Reeves said simply, clasping the scientist's hand. Azara embraced Gordon fiercely. "Your sacrifice will not be forgotten," she whispered. With a final nod, Gordon turned to the controls. "Now go," he shouted. "You have minutes at most." Reeves and Azara sprinted from the chamber, alarms howling around them. As they raced towards the landing bay, Reeves keyed his comlink. "All forces, immediate evacuation. This is not a drill." They reached the ships just as the first massive tremors began to shake the palace apart. As their vessels clawed for altitude, Reeves watched the Elysian capital through the view screen. The Singularity's maw gaped wider, devouring entire districts in seconds. Suddenly, a blinding flash erupted from the heart of the maelstrom. The fabric of space itself seemed to ripple and tear. For a heart-stopping moment, it looked as if the Singularity might stabilize. Then, with a silent roar that shook the very foundations of reality, it collapsed in on itself. The shockwave expanded outward at impossible speed, shattering the remnants of the once mighty Elysian capital. In the stunned silence that followed, Azara's voice came softly over the comms. "It's over," she said, her tone a mixture of relief and sorrow. "Antares is gone. The Empire is no more." Reeves leaned back in his chair, emotions warring within him. They had won, but at what cost? As the fleet jumped to safety, leaving the smoking ruins of the Elysian homeworld behind, He knew that the real work of rebuilding was only just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.